Hello everyone, welcome to today's live IELTS stream. My name is Adrian. I'm going to be your teacher for this class. We are focusing on the listening section of the IELTS exam. Again, I'm broadcasting to you live from beautiful Budapest, Hungary, where slowly but surely it is definitely summer. In fact, the last month has been nice and warm. Hi to those who are joining the live stream now. Hi Manisha, hi Kaur, hi Nessie Victor. Girls and guys, can you please let me know if the audio is okay and if the video is okay? Can you see the board clearly behind me? And can you hear my voice nice and loud? It's important because we are doing listening today. All right, I got several KKKKKs up there. Sounds good. Thank you, Jeffrey, for confirming with that. Yep. You're very welcome, Utsa, for those emails. Absolutely. If you have questions, do communicate to us. We will communicate back. Our driving force is your IELTS success. So when you do your IELTS exam and you do a good job, do tell us. We love to hear success stories. All right, today we are doing IELTS listening. This is coming out of our third test. So we're moving along nice and smooth. Today's date, May the 10th. 2018. Of course, as usual, our materials are coming from our websites. That's aehelp.com for academic IELTS. If you're sitting the academic IELTS exam, definitely go to our website. It's an excellent resource for you. You can try the free version of the site. If you like it, join the full version. Use coupon code LIVE20, LIV20 for a 20% discount. Of course, if you're studying general IELTS, please do visit us at gieltshelp.com. That's for general IELTS. We're one of the only companies in the world that actually separates these two different modules into two different websites. We think it makes logical sense. People who study general IELTS obviously do it because they're planning to move to another country, and people who study academic IELTS do it usually for work and for study purposes, of course. All right, another great news today as we get going here, everyone, nice and quick. I'm going to explain this to you. Our academic IELTS test books, so the listening that we're using today, can be found on Amazon bookstores. So if you can access Amazon bookstores in your country, you can buy our exams from your Amazon bookstore. Same thing with general IELTS. You can buy it for your Kindle e-reader, or you can order a paperback version. So that's now also available to you through Amazon. It's kind of exciting. On the websites, we have lots and lots of videos. We have a fully interactive course, and we're in the process of updating and modifying that to make it the best in the world. So a great time to join. Of course, use your super chat, and very, very soon you will be able to sponsor this channel as well with lots of perks, and we'll tell you about that in the next class. All right, so having said that, let's jump right into today's lesson. I don't want to do too much of a sales pitch for you girls and guys here, although it is a good listening exercise warm-up. Okay, so again, we are looking at this listening section here. We're going to start it off with listening section 1, okay? And for practice purposes, all I'm going to do for this listening section 1 is we're just going to listen, pay attention, do it like in the real exam. So I'm going to get into a little bit more strategy before the second section, but for the first section, let's just listen. It's supposed to be the easy section. So those of you who are new to IELTS, listening section 1, it's general kind of questions and ideas for low intermediate level English, where you have to be able to understand a basic conversation that takes place in everyday English speaking society. So here we're just going to get cracking, get right into it. I'm going to fire up CD3 track 1 from one of our websites. Please make sure you have a pencil and a paper with you if you have that option, so that you can write down the answers. Please do not put your answers into the chat stream. Just wait till the end of the audio. Give other students a chance to do their own listening and give their own answers, okay? So wait till the end, and then we'll get going. Is everybody ready? That's right, Jeffrey. You'll have to listen to some numbers, some names, pay attention to some spelling. I'm not sure if that's what you mean there by spilling. Everybody's ready? All right. So let me just fire that up then. Of course, I'm using a Bose speaker here, which is a high quality speaker, but it's still being recorded through my mic, so you have much better audio on the websites when you do join those courses. All right, so this is our academic IELTS website. I'll just quickly flash the general. The general is green, like that. Let's go back to the academic. You log in at the top there with your email or your username. And then you get that access, if you have the full course, to all of our wonderful, wonderful practice exams and materials, and including all of our audio CDs. By the way, we have CDs for listening and for reading and speaking as well as listening. All right, here we go. Everybody ready and steady? I'm going to step aside here so you can see the questions and get right into it with the right timing.
This recording is copyrighted by 2 Think One Solutions Inc. and World ESL Tutors. You will hear several different recordings and you will answer questions on what you hear. There will be time given to read the instructions and questions, and you will be given a chance to check your work. The recordings will be played only once. The test is made up of 4 sections. At the end of the test, you will have 10 minutes to transfer your answers to the answer sheet. Now turn to section 1. Listening section 1. You will hear a conversation between 2 women as one of the women registers her daughter for nursery school. First, you have some time to look at questions 1 to 5. You will see that there is an example. This time only, the conversation relating to this question will be played.
Good afternoon, Monterey Primary, Jane speaking.
Hello, my name is Diane Johnson. I was hoping to register my daughter for nursery school at Monterey Primary.
Of course, Miss Johnson. Would you like to register your daughter for full-day nursery school, or half-day, or full-day plus after-school care?
Oh, just the half day. I don't think Matilda could handle a full day away from home just yet.
The woman says she would like to register her daughter for half-day nursery school, so A has been indicated for you. Now we begin. You should answer the questions as you listen, because you will not hear the recording a second time. Listen carefully and answer questions 1 to 5.
Good afternoon, Monterey Primary, Jane speaking.
Hello, my name is Diane Johnson. I was hoping to register my daughter for nursery school at Monterey Primary.
Of course, Miss Johnson. Would you like to register your daughter for full-day nursery school, or half-day, or full-day plus after-school care?
Oh, just the half day. I don't think Matilda could handle a full day away from home just yet.
So your daughter's name is Matilda Johnson?
Yes, let me spell it for you. The first name is Matilda, Matilda, and the last name is Johnson, but it's not the common spelling. It's spelt JonSson. My husband is Swedish, which explains the different spelling.
Right. And what is Matilda's date of birth?
She was born December 25th, 2006.
So she was born at Christmas. That is incredible.
Yes, she was an incredible present to get for Christmas. It certainly was the most memorable Christmas I've had.
Yes, I would imagine. Okay, so now I need Matilda's personal education number, which she should have received in the post recently.
I don't remember receiving such a letter in the post.
It would have come from the Department of Education, and they always post things in yellow envelopes. You don't remember seeing a yellow envelope in the post?
In fact, I do, but I didn't open it. My husband did. He didn't mention anything about a personal education number. Now he's away with work and I won't be able to reach him.
Well, we can retrieve the number. I'm going to need your national insurance number as well as your husband's. I'm going to need your husband's name as well.
My husband's name is Eric, with a K instead of a C on the end. His last name is Johnson, of course. His national insurance number is DF987745W, and mine is KL409115N.
You now have some time to look at questions 6 to 10. Now listen to the rest of the interview and answer questions 6 to 10.
Right, okay, let me see here. Alright, here is a personal education number. I will give it to you now so that you can write it down for future reference. It is T56340192.
Just to make sure, the first character is T as in Thomas.
Yes, and this letter in front of the number shows what region the child is originally from. The T in this case refers to Tyne and Wear.
That would be correct, I'd imagine. Matilda was born in Newcastle, which of course is in Tyne and Wear.
Okay, so we have all the information about Matilda that we need. She is now registered for half-day nursery school in September. Do you have any questions?
Yes, I do. I was wondering what sort of training your nursery school teachers have.
That is a very good question. Each of our teachers has, at a minimum, a 2-year diploma in early childhood education. Many of our senior staff have bachelor's degrees in education in addition to the 2-year diploma, and our departmental head, Miss Janet Roth, has a postgraduate certificate, bachelor's degree and diploma. Do not worry, Miss Johnson, your daughter Matilda is in very good hands.
That makes me feel a lot better. Can you tell me when the first day of school is? And also, will there be an orientation day for new students and parents?
The first day of class is the 5th of September, and yes, we do have an orientation day. It takes place on the 3rd of September from 9 to midday. Parents and children are strongly encouraged to attend.
That is the end of section 1. You will now have half a minute to check your answers.
All right, so that's section 1, easy peasy, right? Hopefully. That is the easiest section that you'll have. All right, so let's take a look at these questions again, and let's give our answers now. And then I'll give you a couple of important pieces of information to keep in mind about this section 1 for when you do the official test. Okay, so here we have the example that was given for us. The woman says she'd like to register for half day. She does mention the word full day, but she just says that her daughter is not yet ready for a full day. So don't be confused if you have more than one answer mentioned in the audio, because if you pay attention to the question, only one is correct. All right, let's look at question 1. What is the woman's husband's nationality? All right, anybody? What is the woman's husband's nationality? Is it Swiss, Swedish, or Swazi? Yeah, it's Swedish, okay? They very, very clearly say that she is Swedish. Why do we know that? Can somebody tell me why we know that she is Swedish, or her husband is Swedish, not her, but her husband? Why do we know that he's Swedish? And this is what you need to know. Why is the husband Swedish? How do we know this? Can someone tell me? Yeah, that's right, Waleed. By his name. The spelling of his name is quite unique. It's Johnson with a double S because it's a Swedish name, not a British name. So she emphasizes that. Of course, Swedish means people are from Sweden. Swiss means people are from Switzerland. Be careful not to confuse those two. They are very different countries and quite different cultures as well. Okay, how is the child's personal education number normally received? By post, by email, or picked up from the school? Is it A, B, or C? And of course, in your answer sheet, you're only putting the letters. So in your answer sheet, you would only put B here, okay? And there, it's A, absolutely. A is the correct answer. It should have been received in the post. A, how do we know that? Okay, and this is, again, the important question that you want to be able to answer. So you don't want to just be able to say, hey, I got lucky and got that one. But especially when you're practicing IELTS at home or in your class, your teacher should be asking you, how did you get that answer? Yeah, that's right, Hendy. Good on you. She mentioned the yellow envelope. She said you should have received a usually it's a yellow envelope that you would receive in the mail. Absolutely. So that reassures us or gives us that guarantee. Now, That's one of the reasons how section 1 is easier, is they give you a lot of what's called reassuring information, okay? So pay attention to that. I'll even make a note about that one. I haven't done that in the past, and that's a good tip for you to keep in mind, okay? So in section 1, in listening section 1, pay attention for the reassuring information. In this case, the example is, it usually arrives in a yellow envelope. Not something common in an email, that's for sure, right? Okay, so keep paying attention for that. Of course, reassuring information becomes less and less in the following sections. So as the sections get more and more difficult, that reassuring information becomes less and less, and you have to really pay attention because they're not going to double up the information like they do in the first part or the first section. Okay, why is the husband out of town? Anybody catch that one? What's the reason the husband is out of town? The woman says, oh no, I didn't see that letter. My husband did mention getting something in the mail. Didn't say anything about the education number. And now he's away with work. That's right. So she says, now my husband's away with work. So we know that because she clearly tells us that. You do have to catch that the first time around. So make sure that you pay attention. And this is one of the points I wanted to make here is careful, girls and guys. Watching me do this does make it a little bit easier for you than the real exam. Why? Can anybody tell me why doing it with me, doing the listening here on the board with me, is making it a bit easier than if you're actually sitting in the real exam? Anybody? So if you're having trouble catching it here, you'll have even more trouble in the real exam. Why do I say that? What am I doing? Let me ask you a different way. What am I doing that's making your job a little bit easier? Not much, but definitely a little bit easier. That's a good one, Farouk, because of the stress. Yeah, that could be definitely a factor, the stress. But Akbar by Haki has the right answer there because of the scrolling. So I'm paying attention to when the answers are coming, and I'm moving the questions for you at the exact right pace. So you don't have a chance to get lost, okay? That's one key factor that I'm eliminating for you by scrolling with the audio, following the audio with the correct pacing. So that's making it a bit easier for you. Careful, in the real exam, you have to do that on your own. That's why it's so important to practice it at home. Okay? Yeah, exactly, Flora. Same idea, you're just paraphrasing. I follow the sequence of the answers. Exactly. So pay attention, okay? Keep that in mind. Definitely practice at home. That's why I really encourage you to use our websites and practice this at your own pacing. Question 4. Which 3 pieces of information are required to retrieve the child's personal education number? And notice how this answer, or these answers, came very quickly after the third one. Thank you, Jeffrey. I have a soothing voice as well. Okay. Yeah, it's important, girls and guys, to stay calm in the exam. B, the husband's personal insurance number. Yep. The woman's personal insurance. Is it personal insurance or national insurance number? I believe it was the national insurance number for the woman, the husband, and the husband's name. So I think it's maybe ABF. I don't remember it correctly because I didn't mark it down. Or it's going to be C, D, and F. Okay, so it's the name and 2 of the insurance numbers. Okay, I believe it's C, D, and F if I remember correctly. It's not personal insurance number, it's national insurance number. So pay attention to those details. Also notice that this is just one question. It's question 4. So on your answer sheet, you have to get all 3 correct to get that 1 point, okay? If you make one mistake, it's wrong. So here, your answers should look like this on your answer sheet. C, D, F. If you use commas, it's fine too. But this is just one question. If you write down the woman's name, for example, you got it wrong, okay? So careful about that, okay? Sometimes these questions are tricky that way, that you have to have multiple answers correct in order to pick up 1 point, okay? All right, let's go on to question number 5. How is the husband's name spelt? Is it with a CK, is it with a C, or is it with a K? Anybody? Is it A, B, or C? Yeah, it was B. Anybody remember why? What does the woman say? What does she say? How do we know that it's B? Does anybody recall her specific instructions? She says it very clearly. So again, if you have good English skills, you should have caught that, or let's say an intermediate level English skills, you should have caught that. Anybody? What does she say? She says it's spelt with a C instead of a, I think it's a C instead of a K, Farouk. Was it a K instead of a C? Anyway, we'll check the answer key. Don't worry about it. I think it was a C instead of a K, not a K instead of a C. But, all right, I see those regular students are saying it's a C, so I'm going to agree with them and say C. But yeah, she says K instead of a C, I think then, yeah. All right. Okay, so definitely not A. All right, definitely not A. All right, let's have a look at the next one. What is Matilda's personal education number? And you'll have to help me out here as well a little bit. I know it's definitely not one answer. I didn't write it down. I can memorize that, but you'll help me out here. So what is it? Yeah, I think you're right there. It's A. Okay. So it's T563409192. We actually do know that it's not with a P later on. All right, and again, you have that reassuring information that I was talking to you about. She says that it's a T as in Thomas, and the woman says, yeah, it's T as in Thomas, right? Okay, where was the child born? I already see a lot of students giving the answers. It's A, Newcastle. Now make sure that in your answer sheet, when you have that blank for number 7, okay, make sure that you write A and not Newcastle, okay? The question says choose the correct letter, not write the word, okay? So if you write Newcastle in your answer sheet, you'll get it wrong. Why? Because they're also checking to see if you're paying attention to those instructions. And Newcastle is not a correct answer, even though it is the correct idea, all right? So you have to put A and not Newcastle. Careful with that. And I see a lot of you are using capitalizations like big A's. That's good, okay? All right, let's keep rock and rolling here. Let's move along. So question number 8, what 2 qualifications? This was maybe the more difficult question in section 1. What 2 qualifications do many of the nursery school senior staff have? You really have to pay attention to the details because it says many. Okay, if you didn't pay attention to many, you might have got this one wrong. It was a 2-year diploma and a bachelor's degree. So again, this is just 1 point. You have to get both of them correct. So again, when it says 8 in your answer sheet, you have to give both B and E correctly in any order. Okay, you can write EB or you can write BE, but they have to be correct. If you only have one correct, then you lose that mark, all right? So with these multi-faceted answers, be careful to make sure that you get both of them correct. The woman does say that the principal or the director of the nursery school has a postgraduate degree, which is a master's and a doctorate degree, but that's just one person. The question's asking about many. Okay, so you have to pay attention to those questions just as much as you have to pay attention to the audio. Girls and guys, I see so many students that have good listening skills lose marks because they're focusing on the audio, but they're not focusing on the question. Make sure that you focus on the question, especially in that question review time, just as much as the audio. That's why you have to practice at home. Lembergson, you can get the MP3 from our website when you join our full course, okay? So if you want to get the MP3s for this, there's 2 ways you can do it. You can join our full course at ahelp.com or glshelp.com, or you can download our books from Amazon. So if you have Amazon in your country, you can now download your books. Then you just send us an email with your receipt and we can give you the audio. Okay? All right, let's keep going here. 9 and 10, the last two questions. Okay, these are fill in the blanks. Write no more than 2 words and or a number for each. First day of class, when is it? Anybody? Anybody? And what's the easiest answer? What is the easiest way to answer this? So if I have my answer sheet and I have number 9 here, and some of you are giving me some correct answers, what's the easiest way to show that on my answer sheet? Yeah, so now I'm seeing it come up. The easiest way, careful with SEP. The abbreviation for September is actually SEPT, okay, with a T, and it's September 5th. They'll probably take it with SEP because that's also used. So they'll take SEP 5. The 5 can be before or after, but that is the easiest way to give the answer, okay? If you write it like this, by the way, just to give you an idea of how strict the IELTS is with their marking, if you give an answer like this, that's wrong, okay? So that's going to be wrong. The reason why is because that's an ST, right? And that doesn't make sense in English. So it has to be 5th with a TH, but you can just omit that suffix. You don't need to put the suffix in. They'll take it like that, okay? All right. So make sure you choose the easiest way to answer. I see a lot of students losing marks. Some of the months, like February and September, can be tricky to spell, especially when students are under a lot of stress. They'll make that spelling mistake easily. So you want to avoid that. And again, make sure to review your spelling when you transfer your answer to the answer sheet. You have 10 minutes at the end of the listening to do that. So that's your second chance to save marks. Okay, number 10. Anybody? What's the answer there? That's right. Parents has to have the S. Okay, no S, you lose the mark. It's a plural. So it's P-A-R-E-N-T-S. Make sure you know how to spell these very common nouns in English, and make sure that you can pay attention to the details. Parents and children. Children, of course, is plural. It's an irregular plural. Singular is child. Plural is children. Here it's parents. No S, no mark. Okay? Now, let me throw it out there for you. Quick question. How did you do? What did you get? Just throw up some scores. Don't be shy. Just let me know what you got. Did you get 8 out of 10, 7 out of 10, 2 out of 10, 10 out of 10? What did you get? Okay, Ahmed says he got 10. Utsav says all correct. Farouk says 9 out of 10. And do pay attention to your spelling. If you spelt it wrong, hey, don't give yourself that mark. You got it wrong, okay? There's no point in cheating here. It's not a real IELTS. Okay, 8 out of 10. Somebody got 11 out of 10. That's magical. All right. Good news and the bad news here for all of you, because I see that a lot of you are doing a good job. 7s, 8s, 9s, 10s. Deep Coer, you definitely want to listen up for this one. If you got 8, 9, 10 out of 10, that's great. If you got less than 8 out of 10, you're going to be in trouble. And I don't want to be the bearer of bad news, but it's just the reality, girls and guys. One of the things that's a core value of our company is that we always tell students the absolute truth. So when you send us an essay and you ask us to mark it, if we think it's a 5, we're not going to tell you it's a 6 just to make you feel good, okay? You need to get at least 8, 9, hopefully even 10 on listening section 1. Why? Because it only gets more difficult from here, okay? So if you're losing marks in the second, third, fourth listening sections, then of course your band scores start going down. And the easiest places to lose those marks are sections 3 and sections 4, all right? If you lose 5 marks in section 3 and 5 marks in section 4, you're already down to 30 out of 40, okay? So you're already down at like a 6.57, All right, so you can't lose marks in part 1. You have to try to pick up as many marks in listening section 1 and listening section 2 as you can. Otherwise, you're really going to feel it when you get into section 3 and 4. All right, keep that in mind. Okay, so if you're saying, hey, that's easy, I'm getting perfect marks, that's good. That's what you want to feel right there. All right, so I'll make a note of that for you. That's just my last note for section 1, and then we'll get into section 2 a little bit. All right, so do not lose more than 1 or 2 marks in section 1 of listening, because it is the easiest section and you need these marks to get a good band score. All right, so you really have to do everything in your power to pick up as many of those marks as you can. All right, now, of course, the IELTS, as I've mentioned in yesterday's class as well, is not just a test of your listening, reading, writing, speaking skills in English, but it's in fact a test of your thinking, how you use language, how you communicate, and how you use your brain, how you process information in those beautiful minds of yours, okay? All right, so here we go. Let's talk a little bit about what you need to do in listening. What you need to do is you need to master. What do you need to master? Can anybody read my mind? Do we have any telepaths out there? Can anybody read my mind? What do you need to master in order to get a good score in the listening section? Critical thinking, Utsav, absolutely. Critical thinking is a key part of it. So you need to master critical thinking. Can anybody tell me a couple different ways to say critical thinking, especially pertaining to the listening section? Analytical thinking, yeah, analytical thinking is another way to say critical thinking, or we can say critical thinking, critical listening, analytical listening. And Shiji, you are a telepath. Good on you. I'm scared about what I'm thinking about now and reading my mind. Active listening. We do a lot of passive listening in life. We do it in our university classes in high school where we're just playing with our phone. We have our own thoughts going on. The professor's jumping around like a magician, and the students really aren't paying attention. They're just passively picking up what he's putting down, and they're thinking, hey, I'll read this in my textbook anyway. I'll check it on the website later, whatever. So we really need to master active listening, okay? Active listening will make your life a lot better, and you need to master that. We will jump to the next section here, but not without purpose. Farouk. So here real quick, let's just say something about active listening. So exercise. So practice active listening by playing an IELTS listening section. Don't worry about questions. Just listen. Understand, generate questions and answers. And this is something that you can do in partners. Make it fun. All right? So we'll do that with part 2, okay? So here, I'm not going to show you the questions right now. I'm just going to play the audio for you. You don't have to worry about writing anything down. Actually, you can. If you have a pencil and a paper in front of you, you can write down some questions or just make some quick notes, but only do that if you have some really good English skills. If you don't, just focus on listening and understanding. And then after we're done, you'll have a chance to generate some questions for each other, for myself. I'll do the same, and then we'll see how good we are at answering those questions, okay? And of course, we want to be systematic. So here we go. Everybody's ready to listen? Visualization is a great tip, Amarwadi. Definitely want to visualize the information as you listen. Make it into a video in your mind's eye. That will definitely help you with it. Okay, so here we go. Just listen, understand, and we'll ask each other some questions.
Now turn to section 2. Take some time to look at questions 11 to 16. Listening section 2. You will hear a recording of a university campus tour. First, you have some time to look at questions 11 to 16. Now listen carefully to the interview and answer questions 11 to 16.
Good afternoon, everyone. If you're here for the university campus tour, you're in the correct place. There are two purposes for this tour. For prospective students, you get to see the campus where you may be studying in a few months, and you get to learn some interesting information which may convince you to look favourably on our university. For parents, you get to learn what life is like at this university, so you know where you are sending your kids off to this autumn. Before we start the tour, I'd like to give you some background information. This university was originally opened in 1686, although from 1745 to 1805 it was shut down due to a lack of funding. The university is composed of 23 buildings which were built in one of three periods. There were 4 original buildings in 1686, a dozen more buildings were constructed in the period from 1805 to 1815, and the final 7 buildings have been added in the past 10 years. So there is a fascinating mix of 17th century, 19th century and quite modern architecture. The first building we are going to look at is called the Prescott Building, named after the university's first chancellor, William Chester Prescott. As you can probably tell, this is one of the university's original buildings completed in 1686. The building is actually quite unique in shape. It is approximately 40 metres long while only 8 metres wide. It also has these interesting circular areas attached to each corner, 4 of them in all. These 4 circular areas each house a large bell. None of the bells work today, however. As we walk in the door, I'd like to point out all of the beautiful Persian carpets on the floor. These carpets were donated to the university by a former student almost 150 years ago. It is very common for former students who have done well in life to give back to the university. Some give money, some give land, some give gifts such as Persian carpets. One former student even gave the university his pub after he died. By the way, that pub, which is located at the intersection of 3rd Street and Pine Avenue, gives students of the university a 30% discount. Now, if that's not a selling point for this university, I don't know what is. On a serious note, it is our outstanding education which makes our university a top competitor on the global front.
You now have some time to look at questions 17 to 20.
All right, girls and guys. So for those of you who are asking where the questions are, you have to pay attention to instructions. I explained to you that there will not be questions for this purpose of active listening. Active listening. Okay, so that means you got to listen to the audio and my instructions. The goal here was for you just to listen and understand and remember as much of the audio as you can, okay? You want to develop your active listening so that you can do well on the IELTS. Just looking at practice exam after practice exam after practice exam is not the most effective way to increase your active listening and your score, okay? So I purposefully said I'm not showing you the questions in this case. All right, anyway, let's get into the questions themselves. So one of the important parts of active listening is that you want to be able to structure your questions. So go from the beginning to the end. So can anybody post a question that would be a good first question to ask your partner? If you're doing this exercise with a friend, what would be a good question to ask them right away? Okay, we will look at the questions later, girls and guys, so don't worry, you'll have a chance to do that. But for this exercise, no worries, Shiji, next time. For this exercise, stick with me and I'll show you what you want to do here. So what's a good first question to ask? What's the topic? Sure, that's a good one to start off with, Jeffrey. What is the topic? All right, can anybody answer Jeffrey's question here? How many buildings is way too far ahead, Khalid? Abkar, when was the university founded, is maybe still probably a little bit too far ahead. So, so the first good question here is, what is the situation? What are we talking about here? Farouk says it's a campus tour. Exactly. It is a campus tour. All right. Let me throw out the next question. Take a little pressure off you. All right. What are 2 good reasons to take part in this campus tour? So the tour guide, probably a 3rd, 4th year, maybe 2nd year student, says there are 2 good reasons for to attend this tour. What are they? Ahmed says for students and for parents. Yeah, to get to know the campus that students will be attending, and for parents to learn where they're sending their kids. Okay, that's what is good about going on this tour. Okay, so hopefully you caught that. So the answer there was for students to become familiar for the school. And parents learn where they are sending their kids. And remember, he says specifically in autumn. Okay. What's a good next question? What is a good next question? So what would be one that followed after that? Silent N. All right. What is one that follows after that? Don't jump ahead. So yeah, when was the campus founded? And I love how you girls and guys are getting this, and some of you are asking questions and some of you are giving the answers. So somebody asked, when was the campus founded? When were the first buildings built? And somebody's answering it was in 1668, so it's a very old university. Okay, good. Yeah, that's a great question. What's a good one after that? By the way, if you can ask and answer these questions, you're going to do a good job in your listening section as well. Why should they choose the university is probably jumping ahead a little bit. What would be a good one to ask after when was the university founded, or when were the first buildings built? We got some answers for that. It was in the 1600s. What was the name of the first building? Sure. It was shut down for a time in the late 1700s. Yeah, Ahmed is asking a good question. What was the name of the first building? Anybody remember what the name of the first building was in the university? So I'm going to jump ahead here. A couple questions in between that you guys did a good job of asking and answering. Yeah, the more you break it down when you're doing this exercise at home, the better your active listening skills and the better your scores. If you get really good at this, basically you can reverb exactly what you heard between you and your partner. You'll have no problem getting a nice high score in IELTS. That's right, Race. It was the Prescott building. The Prescott building. All right. What's a good another question? What's a good follow-up question after that one? So what was the first building? What's another good question after that one? Yep, there was a building named after the Vice Chancellor, William Chesta. Good on Fatima and Pravinder Reddy for those questions that were great. What was the dimensions, or what are the dimensions? Because they're currently the same. Yeah, so what are the dimensions? And you'll soon learn that there is a question that asks you about that in the actual test. Yeah, so it's much longer than it is wide. It's okay if you forgot the units, Sudarshan, but it's good that you're remembering that it's a long building and narrow. You'll see why that's good that you just remembered that. Okay, here I'll throw another. It's long and narrow is enough if you don't remember the dimensions. As long as you caught that it was long and narrow, that's a good answer. That's some good active listening, okay? All right, here's my next one. What's unique about this building? Anybody? What is unique about this building? There you go, Shayla. Now you're catching on. You're going, hey, this is good practice. We don't need to look at the questions. Just see if I understand what's going on, what I understand about this. Yeah, I'm not going on the inside of the building yet, but you're right. There are some carpets in there. There are 4 bells at each corner, 4 large bell towers. I don't know how many of you caught that, but that was kind of interesting. He said there are these circular portions at each corner that house bells, but they don't work today. He even said that. Okay, then we go on, and then here I'll throw out that question for you. What was donated to the university? And you can have a couple answers for this one. Yep. That's right, Khaled. There's some circular shapes at each corners. What was donated? Carpets. What kind of carpets? Money's been donated. Land's been donated. Persian carpets have been donated. Thank you, Claudio, for that one. Yep, absolutely. And there was even something else that's been donated. What books have been donated? That's right, Ali. They answer that one. Obviously, there could be a question in the IELTS where you have to circle 4 or 5 answers that were donated, right? Ahmad, very good. A pub. Yeah, you weren't sure about that one, but you did catch it, so be confident. Yeah, a pub was donated. Okay, so carpet, money, land, and even a pub was donated. What's special about the pub? What's so special about that pub? Anybody catch that one? Smoking's allowed? I don't know, Alan. I didn't say that. I don't hear anything about smoking. Yeah, that's right, Sakuna. They get a discount. Anybody catch how much of a discount? That's right, Farouk. Good ear. 30% discount. All right, so anyway, lots of questions, lots of answers. You girls and guys did a great job of generating those. Notice how it was very effective because we had a structure, so from beginning to end. When you're doing this practice at home, if in the first stages, so in the first few days when you're doing this, you're jumping around a little bit, that's okay. It's hard to have that good of a structure right away, but that's what you want to develop your active listening towards. So if you're doing it in a classroom or if you're doing it with partners, then make sure you tell each other, hey, wait a second, I think there's a lot of questions that we can ask before we get to that one, okay? So try to reach that point in the exercise where you have good structure. That is a key aspect, okay? And I know some of you have done this with me before, so you're getting better and better at it. All right, now what we'll do is we'll listen again. This time I'll show you the questions. We'll do the full listening section too, and then we'll go through the answers together. Again, girls and guys, please keep your answers to yourself. Just write it down on a piece of paper. Do not share it in the chat until we're finished the audio. Give everybody a chance, okay? So please do that, all right? Farouk, you had a lot of coffee today, man, I think. You're just really ready to go. All right. So here we are. Let's get back to the audio. Listen again and answer the questions. Again, wait till the end of the audio to share it with everybody else, all right?
Now turn to section 2. Take some time to look at questions 11 to 16. Listening section 2. You will hear a recording of a university campus tour. First, you have some time to look at questions 11 to 16. Now listen carefully to the interview and answer questions 11 to 16.
Good afternoon, everyone. If you're here for the university campus tour, you're in the correct place. There are two purposes for this tour. For prospective students, you get to see the campus where you may be studying in a few months, and you get to learn some interesting information which may convince you to look favourably on our university. For parents, you get to learn what life is like at this university, so you know where you are sending your kids off to this autumn. Before we start the tour, I'd like to give you some background information. This university was originally opened in 1686, although from 1745 to 1805 it was shut down due to a lack of funding. The university is composed of 23 buildings which were built in one of three periods. There were 4 original buildings in 1686, a dozen more buildings were constructed in the period from 1805 to 1815, and the final 7 buildings have been added in the past 10 years. So there is a fascinating mix of 17th century, 19th century and quite modern architecture. The first building we are going to look at is called the Prescott Building, named after the university's first Chancellor, William Chester Prescott. As you can probably tell, this is one of the university's original buildings completed in 1686. The building is actually quite unique in shape. It is approximately 40 metres long while only 8 metres wide. It also has these interesting circular areas attached to each corner, 4 of them in all. These 4 circular areas each house a large bell. None of the bells work today, however. As we walk in the door, I'd like to point out all of the beautiful Persian carpets on the floor. These carpets were donated to the university by a former student almost 150 years ago. It is very common for former students who have done well in life to give back to the university. Some give money, some give land, some give gifts such as Persian carpets. One former student even gave the university his pub after he died. By the way, that pub, which is located at the intersection of 3rd Street and Pine Avenue, gives students of the university a 30% discount. Now, if that's not a selling point for this university, I don't know what is. On a serious note, it is our outstanding education which makes our university a top competitor on the global front.
You now have some time to look at questions 17 to 20. Now listen to the rest of the interview and answer questions 17 to 20.
Before we go any further, are there any questions? No? Right then. Next we are going to visit the university library. As you see in front of the library, there is a beautiful fountain which shoots water high up in the air. Once again, the funding for the fountain came from a former student, in this case a well-known artist. It was constructed just 15 years ago at the cost of £50,000. As we step into the library, I think what you'll notice at first is the fact there are no books. Indeed, there are no books at all on the entire ground floor. On the 5 upper floors, however, there are over 3 million books. The library's collection has been built over time through private donations, gifts from former students, as well as university purchases. There is also a special collections area where there are original works dating back to the year 1588. Next on our itinerary is a visit to the sporting facilities. Here at the university we have over a dozen different facilities for almost any sport you can imagine, ranging from football and rugby to tennis and squash to archery and cricket. Our rugby team has won the national championship 3 out of the last 5 years. As you'll see on your left is a famous wall where we put pictures of
That
All right, so there we have it. Let's go through those questions. Of course, in the first part there, you should do fairly well because we discussed it at great lengths. So let's jump back to question 11. All right, now make sure that even when you have these answers correct, make sure you know how to enter them into your answer sheet. So when did the university open? Anybody? Anybody? It's good advice, Shirzad, to keep people relaxed in the IELTS. It's important. Yeah, it's 1686, right? So 1686 was the year the university opened. Good. How many buildings were constructed between the years 1805 and 1815? So we're moving through this nice and smooth. Yeah, the easiest answer here is 12, okay? They say dozen, so you can have 12, or you can say dozen. Make sure you spell it correctly, like that, okay? So both answers would be correct. 12 would be okay, dozen would be okay, all right? Remember, this is a table. University opened, and this year this happened. In this year, 12 buildings were constructed. So dozen or 12. All right. And in the past, how many years 7 buildings were constructed? So how many buildings were constructed in how many years there? In the past 10 years, right? So the easiest is 10. You can write 10, right? Just make sure you don't make a spelling mistake writing the word 10. Hopefully you don't. Or just the number is the easiest, okay? So 1686, 12, or dozen, or 10. All right, for the last one there. All right, let's keep rocking and rolling. Which of these diagrams best represents the Prescott Building, A, B, or C? Yeah, definitely don't want to make typos, TS. Pay really close attention to that on the IELTS. You get a second chance. By the way, if you've made a typo, don't panic, don't freak out. You have 10 minutes at the very end of all of these sections when you transfer your answers to your answer sheet from the question booklet. That's your second chance to check for spelling mistakes. B is the correct answer. Yeah, that's right, because it's 8 meters, right? 8 meters this way, and it's 40 meters that way. And then, of course, they also say that there's these circular bell towers. We talked about that earlier. Absolutely. Okay, so B is your correct answer there. Next one, 15. How many years ago were the Persian carpets donated? Anybody? 150, that's right. Century and a half, or 100 years and 5 decades. So 150. You only need to say 150 because it says how many years ago were they donated. You can say 150 or you can say 150 years, okay? Both are fine. They'll make sense. So in that case, they'll accept 150 or 150 years, all right? If you have a lot of grammar mistakes in your writing, that's not good, Sonia. You got to work on that. On our website, check out the bonus writing course. It'll help you with it. And you can use that in your free account as well. Okay, what discounts do students receive at the pub? We actually asked this as a question. Is it A, B, or C? It's A, 30%. That's right. So in your answer sheet, you just write the letter A. Okay, don't write 30%. You'll get it wrong because they're saying choose the correct letter, not write the percentage. Okay, it's not a short answer. It's a multiple choice. So make sure when it's asking you for numbers, you're just giving numbers. Okay, so here it's A. Okay. A is the correct one. All right, 17 to 20. In front of the library, there is a beautiful what? What's in front of the fountain? Or in front of I just said the answer. What's in front of that beautiful library? It's a fountain, yeah. Fountain like this. Okay, if you write it like this is going to be wrong. It's in the middle of a sentence, or sorry, it's at the end of a sentence. It does not take a capital, so don't write it with a big F. If you wrote your answer with a big F, mark it wrong. The IELTS, you'd get that wrong. It's got to be a small f, or you can write it all capitals. Just make sure that your spelling is good. Okay? So that's correct. You can do that, or you can do that. You can't do that. Okay? All capital is okay. All small is okay. First letter capital, not okay. It matters in English because it's confusing. If you're giving me an essay and you have a big F here, then I get confused if this is the last word of this sentence or if you're trying to make that the first word of the next sentence. It looks awkward to an English reader, okay? Think about those special rules in other languages and you'll realize that, yeah, okay, we have similar kinds of interesting rules. All right. The ground floor has how many books? How many books in the ground floor? Nargiza, yeah, confidence. Be confident. It's no books. And again, it's N-O with a small n. If you write it with a big N, as I just saw somebody do there, none is not good. So TS, none would be wrong because has none books is incorrect grammar. Okay, so none is wrong. This is wrong. If you write no, that's wrong. If you write none, that's wrong. It's the wrong word form, wrong spelling. It has to be small n-o. 0 is okay, Ali. That was a good question. 0 is okay. 0 books, no books. Okay. No is the best answer because that's literally what the speaker says. They'll most likely take 0 because it is a correct answer and it makes grammatical sense. Okay. All right. The upper floors, however, house over 3 million books. The collection was built by donations, gifts, and university purchases. Additionally, there is a something area with works dating back to 1588. What is the answer for number 19? Now remember, no more than 2 words and or number, so some of these is going to be 2 words. Special collection, not condition, Farouk. Careful. It's a special collection, and it's even a little bit more tricky than that here, girls and guys. It's a special collections. Special collections area, not collection. So it's actually with an S on the end. They probably will mark it wrong without the S. Because in English, that is called, if you go into the library, they will say it's a special collections area. So here, there's this kind of unique plural with collections. So special collections area, that's the correct answer. You have to have both. Collections alone is not enough. All right, again, just a little bit of a reminder here. That's why I said in section 1, you want to pick up as many points as possible because there are some questions that are fairly tricky. Okay. So you need that S for who's asking, Sanim. All right, last one, number 20. There are many sporting facilities, including the rugby field, which is home to the rugby team, which has won 3 of the past 5, what? National championships. That's right. Again, a 2-word answer. If you write just championships, it's not good enough because we don't know what kind of championships. The adjective is very important here. So it's national championships. Most likely they will not take it with a big N, big C because it's not a proper noun. National championships is a common noun. Both words are common nouns here, or common noun, common adjective. So national championships, small chance that they'll take it with a big N and a big C. The safe way is small n, small c. You need the S. If you don't have the S, you get it wrong because it's 3. Okay, so 3 national championships. That is the best answer there. Okay? All right. So if you lost 2 marks here and you got a perfect score in section 1, hey, you're still doing okay. 18 out of 20 is not bad. Just try to keep it up for section 3 and 4. All right? Okay, so that is how you should be moving along in the listening section so far. Tomorrow, we're going to do section 3 and section 4. Okay, we'll do a little bit more active listening practice with those. You can check your score on our website, by the way. So when you're finished your listening section, there's a place you can check your score on our website to see what you got. Again, let me just hop back here to our note sheet. Just a quick refresher. Remember, listening section 1, pay attention to those reassuring questions or information that lets you know you got it right. Make sure to practice active listening at home before you sit the IELTS. You got to master that to get a good score. Do that in partners, generate questions, give answers without focusing on the exam questions. And then we'll do some more of that tomorrow, okay? Now, pay attention, girls and guys. Tomorrow, the class is going to be earlier, 4 hours earlier. I have to get to a couple of meetings and other things in the afternoon. So tomorrow's class will be at noon Central European time. That's 12 o'clock Budapest time tomorrow, okay? So make sure that you do check us out on our websites, ahelp.com for academic IELTS, gltshelp.com for general IELTS. We do truly believe that it's some of the best IELTS materials in the world. And again, now you can buy these practice exams. We have 6 of them in our 2 books from Amazon. So if you have Amazon in your country, you can get it on your e-reader, or you can get a paperback version. It's a nice way to follow these live classes. Thank you, Arnaldo, for watching. Keep it up, man. I believe in you, okay? Thank you, Sonia. All the best to you as well. Take care, girls and guys. Keep up the good fight. You all have beautiful brains. Remember, we all have the ability to learn 2, 3, 4 languages in our lifetime. It's great aerobics for the brain, and English, of course, is very useful. So keep it up. Practice. I believe in you. And all the best to those of you who are writing some IELTS exams later this week. Bye for now. We'll see you tomorrow.